Hello, I have here the 2021 LEGO City Holiday Campervan set, and it looks very, very familiar. So later in the video, I'm going to directly compare this to this. As you see here, there are no real side builds. You just get the vehicle, 2 adult figures, 1 baby figure, and those are just accessories. Specifically, they are a croissant in the 2nd generation mold and a portable stove with a pan on top, and I love the little egg. This is a 5+ set, so it is a fairly simple build, just a 6-stud wide vehicle. However, you do at least build it up completely from the ground up. There's no pre-built or pre-formed single-piece chassis underneath or anything like that. So, it feels like a proper LEGO building experience. And this is designed to be opened up from the side. The last one opened up from the other side. This one opens up here quite far, and then of course you can also take the roof off, and there's some additional stuff to see in there, but that just gives you all the access to the interior. And this is a daytime relaxing and eating focused interior, so 2 full seats there, a table in the center, a couple of things to eat, and then this is like a kitchenette little area over here. This is your galley, which just has either a blender or a coffee maker. I think it's supposed to be a coffee maker. And you kind of have to imagine that there's some storage under there because they haven't really depicted it here. I do appreciate the fact that there's a pass-through to kind of be able to at least, as huge figures, slide minifigures through that open window space there. And then for the driver's compartment, it's a little bit difficult to see. Let me remove this so you can get a little bit better angle. You've got space to put a coffee mug or 2, which is pretty important for long trips, and the steering wheel and the relatively new print there for the console. Person just sits on a brick, which is awkward, but it works fine, The sleeping space is up here, which matches how things are actually done in some small to medium-sized RVs. The bed is just all tiles. That's a little bit awkward. I think they could have raised up the pillow area just a little bit, but then you could also see this as being just the sheet underneath or the lower sleeping surface. But something other than just completely flat would have been nice. But this does give you enough room to put a figure there and close this up with them in that spot. And then this is just intended to be storage for your little extra accessories if you want to have some up here. Strangely, this is hollow space up here. It's just not used and not accessible. Looking at the figures, one of them is a long-lost twin of mine that I was never told about, so it's going to take me some time to adjust to that, but don't worry, I will be okay. As usual, LEGO has their little stories that they kind of suggest, so if you follow a certain torso or a certain figure style in general, you can see as they grow up from set to set, which is kind of cool, but overall, these are just pretty straightforward, kind of normal figures. I do like to get another one of the baby and also the baby carrier. Those are, in fairly short supply yet. You got the teal color there. There's the rest of the torso print for the one on the left, and she also has an alternate face for when she's sleeping up above the cab. Spare parts for this set include all of the nice little food-related prints, and this is the spent sticker sheet. Comparing the new camper van to the last one from 2014, and I can hardly believe it was that long ago that this came out. It feels like just 2 or 3 years ago, but you can immediately see there are a lot of similarities, a lot of visual similarities between these two, but there are actually more differences than I expected. Like if you look at the height of just this little space right here, and then go from there, start looking, okay, what is the difference there? But then look forward, okay, I see, you start to see differences in the configurations overall. And obviously this one opens up on this side. However, the previous one opened up on the other side and had a different strategy as well to how they laid it out. This one had a table with just a single seat, good pass through, but then downstairs was the bed, and they had a nice TV up against the wall. I actually like having that TV there, but probably some people would be like, oh, you don't go out to go camping to, watch TV and be on your phone and stuff. This one, of course, came with the canoe, so we're missing that here, even though the number of parts between these two is very similar. Yeah, it's storage right there. That's good. That's actually a good use of that space. And then you had more storage here. Still have the original accessories in there. Look at that. So a little bit better use of the upstairs space, and just, again, a different strategy for how to use the downstairs space. And you did not have that second seat for the little table. I also appreciate that this one has a little bit more in the way of window coverage, so you get more light in there. And this also has the trailer hitch, which is using just the standard ball system that will work well with a bunch of other trailers that Lego has made for just regular vehicles. This gap right here may look a little bit awkward to you. That's just to have an easy place for folks who don't have the greatest of manual dexterity to, get a thumb under there and just pull this up. So it's just for easy access. And anybody who doesn't like that can just put a 1x4, plate under it and you're done. So I paid $20 US for this, and I think that's okay. When you consider that most people consider regular single seat, 6-wide city car to be decently well valued at $10 with a single figure. I think this is more than 2 single seat regular city cars worth of stuff here. So yeah, I think the value is there, and this also costs exactly the same as the 2014 model. So that's nice that they didn't up the price over that time. They could have. Speaking of that, when I looked at these two together and thought about the fact that these two exist and have so many similarities, I realized that, as usual, there are multiple ways to consider this situation. From one end of the spectrum, I can see the possibility of somebody saying, well, this is just proof positive that Lego doesn't care about their fans anymore. All the designers are completely out of ideas. They don't know how to design anything anymore. All they know how to do is rehash old ideas. They're lazy, they're shiftless, they're just sitting around the office, just being greedy, because that's what they do. They just want money. And yeah, they don't care about anything whatsoever. So that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is that, wow, it's kind of from the opposite extreme is, wow, this is proof that Lego cares about their fans, because look, they had something that a lot of people liked that was really, really good, just pure and good. And, they took it off the market, and that kind of sucked. And now they brought it back because people really, really liked it. So that's proof that they care. And not only that, not only did they bring it back, but instead of being lazy and taking the exact same design, maybe swapping out a couple colors or, 1 or 2 colors on it, they actually took the time to do some redesign, to not just change some colors, but to, make some substantive changes to it, to alter it. And, that's being realistic, because in real life, there are plenty of RVs that from 100 feet away look basically the same, but they're configured differently, and maybe they have just slightly different graphics to them. They're mostly white, and they just have a slightly different graphics package and a slightly different internal configuration. So technically, what Lego has done here is create a more realistic situation. I myself probably sit somewhere in between there, a little bit closer to the latter view, but definitely in between. I think that this was a situation where the project to design this probably had less budget, less time budget, less development budget than a normal project of this size would have. So they didn't give this as much time. They didn't give the designer of this as much time as they gave the designer of this, because the designer of this had to start from scratch. The designer of this was probably told to use this as a basis and just change it up a bit. I think that's most likely what happened. And the reason that happened was that so many people liked the previous version. So why come up with something entirely new when so many people liked what was there before? And instead they just made some changes that I think were arguably good. Some of the things about this I think are better than the previous one. So I think it's just fundamentally just a cool thing, and it's not that complex. Again, it's a 5+ set. When you consider that, definitely a success from a design perspective. So I'm happy with it. And folks who don't want to buy it just don't have to buy it. Folks who have the old one and don't want another one don't have to get another one. Folks who have the old one and want another one of the old ones, they can't get them anymore for less than ridiculous aftermarket prices, can now get this. And if they didn't want it to be identical to the old one, well, it's not. So yeah, I think it's good Lego stuff here fundamentally. I did a build video for this, so you can check out the real-time or speed build versions. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.